Hello chaps and chapettes, how's it going? Carl Screezilla here, I hope you're all well, and welcome to the Magyar Nadid track here in Mogdorod, of course in Hungary. The Hungarian GP track where we are racing the Skip Barber for the Sunday Night Lights event. Yes, the famous Hungarian Grand Prix circuit. So we're coming down towards turn 1 at the moment, that tight right-hander downhill. Very tricky little corner. Tricky to get the apex right, and also you've got to be careful not to get a track out here. You can take a little bit more circuit than I'm doing. I'm just being a bit precautious because I want to make sure I actually get a good qualifying result here. Turn number 2, left-hander. Very tight corner, long apex into a sharp right turn for turn number 3. Just take a little bit of curb, get a nice exit there as you go towards turn number 4, of course, where Felipe Massa got hit by Rubens Barrichello's spring off of his brawn back in the day. Up towards turn 3, turn 5, long right-hander. Just clip the apex, take a nice exit as you go towards the chicanes of 6 and 7 here. You want to take a nice bit of curb as you enter this corner, like so, and just fly through there as quick as possible. Second gear. Up towards turn 8, left-hander, lifting off a little bit, still in second gear. Turn number 9, just a dab of brake sometimes just to get the car turned in, back on the power extremely fast. Turn 10, barely anything, up towards turn 11, which can catch you out a little bit. You do just need to lift a little bit, especially on cold tyres and these skippies. Very easy to run wide. A little bit of a straight now down towards turn 12. The very, very tight 90-degree right-hander. Here you want to take as much curb as possible to get that exit up towards turn 13. That long left-hander, long sort of double apex sort of corner. You just want to try and get in there. Get nice on the exit. You can take a bit of the pit road as the exit area. Turn 14, another long right-hander. Again, you just want to turn in there. Don't generally want to go too close to the wall. Just want to get enough so you can get a good exit onto the straight. And that is a lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix circuit in the Skippy. So a 2:06.1. So a good lap there for us. We're currently in the 4th split and with the second car, so no pressure or anything. You know, I don't like it when I'm a high number. I prefer to be, you know, considered a flog with much lower numbers. So yeah, the Sunday Night Lights series, really fun. Catch it on Top Split TV. Head over there on YouTube and Twitch. And I was actually racing with the lads from Locked On iRacing. Make sure to catch them out as well. Locked On lads, Locked On iRacing, your place for all the Australian information on, you know, sim racing action. A great bunch of lads, Wilco and Braden Marden and Alex McKellar as well, of course, who runs the Top Split TV Sunday Night Lights series. So, first time here in the Skippy. Quite a fun track, not easy to pass. I mean, the circuit is well known. It's similar to Monaco. It's always compared to Monaco in how tight it is and how tricky it is. And there is a reason for that, because it is a really tight, tricky circuit. You've got to be careful of overtaking here, because it's very easy to absolutely make a mistake and really get caught out. So you've got to be a little bit patient here and find your opportunities. The best place to overtake is down towards turn number 1, possibly towards turn number 12 as well. You can make a bit of a move. Generally the worst place to try and overtake is turn 4. Turns 2 is an opportunity as well, but turn 4 and 5 can be really risky, as well as the chicanes of 6 and 7. So you've got to be very careful in those corners. So this is the last qualifying lap, and this will be good enough to get us a fairly decent position. We're currently sitting in P1, which is nice. Been a while since I've had a pole position. We dropped down, I think, to P3 right now. And this lap was just a tad slower, I think, so we just miss out on the qualifying. Okay, let's skip ahead to the race. Okay, so here we are, reeling up and ready to go. The green light is out and we are off to a flying start here at the Budapest circuit. So getting away nicely. Down towards turn 1, got to be a bit careful. It is downhill, you can get a nice bit of draft here, but just watching out on the inside. You don't want to really get wrecked. It's very easy to get caught up in a big accident here, so I'm just giving a little bit of room just to, well, just to avoid getting crashed, really. That's my main goal, is to try not to get taken out. So down towards the second corner now. Again, just giving a little bit of room. We just go around a little bit wide so we can get a little bit of a better exit here. Guy on the inside there is going to try and sneak up the inside. We'll get the draft up towards the kink, but this guy is going to try and force us a little bit wide. A guy behind us goes off and is dead. So that's the first car out of the action. Now this guy just makes me just run a little bit wide because I was just a little bit cautious of turning in on him. We run a little bit wide, we get a little bit of a slowdown going into the corner, get back on the track, and car number 5 decides it's probably a good idea just to not brake into that corner. Takes a really tight inside line, decides not to brake. I see on my I see that we've got lots of cars coming in, so I decide better to just turn around like this and end up having to do a bit of a Austin Powers manoeuvre to get the car around. I got some damage to the rear wing, which is not ideal, and I'm right at the back of the grid now, so yeah, not the start that I would have wanted, and not the start that I wanted at all, especially with my first night in Sunday Night Lights. So we've dropped back all the way to the back of the grid now, so we are quite a way off from anybody. So this is now a recovery drive. Let's see what we can do in this race. The Hungarian Grand Prix, of course, this circuit, Modrojor, was built in... it was first raced in 1986, I think, so it's about as old as me. Of course, the first Hungarian Grand Prix was back in the 30s, and mainly between the Auto Union and Mercedes-Benz, and there was a Alfa Romeo as well sent there, probably driven by Mr. Nuvolari at that time. I think it would have been in 36, I think that would have been Nuvolari's time in the Alfa, because Mercedes and Auto Union basically blocked him from joining their team because he was just way too quick. Anyway, that's a story for another day. So the track it's really fun to drive on. It's not the easiest to pass on, but it is a really fun track to drive on. I'd had two practice races, in fact not called practice races, but 2 races before this. I tend not to be able to race that much, so I have to go for a race when I can, which is on Sundays, and as I said, I usually do them Sunday nights, and they don't take too much out of me, so I can be well at least for Monday for work. So this was my first time driving a Skippy around this track. As I said, I managed to get a podium position in my first race. Second race I ended up finishing in 10th position. So I think this is going to be our worst race, as we're sitting down in 13th at the moment. It's not looking good, but the one thing we have got on our side is pace. Now the car feels a little bit weird, and I'm not sure if I've got front wing damage or rear wing damage. We've already managed to get past one person who had to come into pit lane, but that rear wing damage is affecting us a little bit. But we will get to drive around that. And that's one of the things that's nice about the Skippy, is it's not so aero sensitive in the fact that you can get away with driving the car a little bit damaged, and you can sort of survive the odd little nick here and there. So it's a really fun little car to drive in that respect, and I've been having an absolute blast with it. So we're behind the number 5, yay. So the guy that took us out, we are sitting behind as well. So I'm not looking forward to catching this guy effectively, because it seems a little bit sketchy, so to say. So yeah, it's not a great start. Now the Sunday Night Lights series is it's an official series, and Top Split TV show it, and they show the top split, obviously, hence their name, which I'm not in. I'm in the 4th split, so just the last points paying split, but at least I'm in something. My goal is to try and get up to the 3rd split, which I'm slowly but surely doing, and my I rating is improving, which is nice. And it's something, it's something I have to work on. I have to improve, and unfortunately, I can't go out farming for I rating and stuff like that week long to gain the positions. So I have to just race when I can, which, as I say, is generally on a Sunday night. So I've sort of been, considering I only do 1 race a week and generally only 3 races, so it's about about 3 hours worth of running a week I'm doing. So there's been a crash up in front. There was a bit of tyre, wing mirror I think sitting there, or wheel. Bits of car debris just scattered around the track. We're catching on the number 5, and we're catching on a whole heap of cars at the moment. And being an official race, that means you get a lot of different drivers in there, and it's one of the things I like about iRacing, but I also dislike about iRacing, is the fact that the way the safety rating system works is if you effectively want to build your safety rating, you can't race. You can't afford to race, because every time you get contact, every time you get a out of track, out of bounds sort of thing, you will lose safety rating, and that affects your license rating and stuff like that. And it is very frustrating, because you can't actually, it feels like you're capped. You can't really push as hard as you want to. It does mean you're going to probably take less stupid moves, but unfortunately people behind you are still going to take stupid moves. You can't control the idiots around you. You can only control the idiot behind the wheel. And it's very frustrating, because you want to race. You want to actually race, and that's one of the big important things of racing, is racing. And I feel like it discourages the actual racing of cars, having the system that they've currently got in there. It is to try and stop people from being absolute lunatics and just crashing out of each other, but it does affect your ability to actually run against people as well, because you struggle to overtake them. You don't really want to try and pass some people, because you know that they're going to just take you out rather than let you pass. This number 5 I am super cautious of, because although relatively highish I rating for this split, they have proven to me that they're not that great on the brakes, and they can't really judge their distance, which, you know, fair enough, they're probably still learning, but at the same time you have to be able to do that, and you have to be cautious of that, because it is so easy for incidents to happen. So you do have to judge things and be a little bit more patient, as well as trying to be quick. And that's one of the harder things to do sometimes, is you want to actually be fairly, you don't want to be last. You want to actually have a good race. You actually want to you do want to try and be the fastest driver out there, and try and actually be the one that's winning and stuff. So when you get taken out on the first lap, you can really feel frustrated. So a bit of a slide job there in front of us, and this is one of the things that I would recommend if you are looking to build up your safety rating and your I rating, is don't race people too hard. Just try and force them into mistakes. Put pressure on them, rather than trying to overtake them. Just try and apply the pressure to them and force them to outbrake themselves, so you can get the opportunity to get past in a relatively safe fashion. And that's my sort of plan of attack right here. We've already moved up to P10, just because people have crashed out. So we're doing quite well. And pace-wise, we are just a couple of tenths off the leader, even with that rear damage we've got. So we're doing pretty well at the moment, and we are very much catching on that group in front of us, who are not running away. One of the other things in Skippy racing is, if you race somebody too hard, you're going to end up losing yourself a whole heap of time. So these guys up in front of us are racing really hard at the moment, and they're just costing themselves time, and meaning that we can catch up, which to me is not a bad thing, but to them it's a terrible thing. So right now I'm just trying to keep an eye on the front and make sure I can avoid the inevitable wreck that's going to happen. And that's what I'm looking at right now, is I'm driving my own race effectively, but I'm also keeping an eye on the cars in front of me, waiting for them to make a mistake and trying to judge a way of getting past them, because I know that they're going to crash. You just get that feeling. The way that the number 5 is driving is quite erratic and very, very racy, but also a little bit on the sketchy side. Look at that attempt at a pass in turn 12. You know, it's not an ideal position to make. Sorry, was that turn 12? Where are we? Turn 11, sorry. Not an ideal overtaking spot, and it's such a fast corner, that one. You can't really make it work. You're just going to force the driver to go offline a little bit. And you will have dive bombs as well. And that's one of the other things to look out for, is when you've got somebody that's chasing you down that is faster than you, they're probably going to dive bomb you. So just keep an eye on them and make sure you don't get caught up in their dive attack, because that's something that will often happen, is they will come at you from sort of where I'm sitting right now. They will brake 10 times too late and go down your inside to try and overtake you, and it's your job to avoid them. And that usually ends up in a big accident. So there we go. First car to go out is the number 15, I think it was. Loses it, goes sideways. We're going to get a good draft here. We get past before we get up to turn number 2. So we've managed to make that move stick, and that's some good news for us. So that's one car off the list, one less to worry about. The main thing I'm doing right now is just keeping an eye on that car behind me as well, and just making sure that things don't go too wrong, and making sure that they don't crash into the back of me. So again, it's that thing of, right now I'm sitting in an unenviable position because I've got cars in front of me and another one goes round. We've managed to avoid that, and I've got cars behind me that are a little bit on the sketchy side. So it's again, it's almost like driving in your mirrors, but rather than defending, you're just trying to hope that they don't go into the back of you. So we've made it up to P8 now, so not a terrible recovery. We're actually one of the fastest cars out on track as well, which is really good. End up setting one of the fastest lap of the race as well, soon enough. And I get that feeling that I probably would have done quite well in this race if I didn't get taken out in the 5th corner. If somebody had learnt to use their brakes, but oh well, that is racing, unfortunately. So we're again stuck behind the number 5, so again, I'm not going to push too hard on this guy, because I already know that they're not... I don't really trust them in wheel-to-wheel racing, so I want to make sure I can get a really good clean pass, and I want to make sure I can do it down a straight, and somewhere where they're not going to crash into the back of me. So we get a good run here onto the front straight, and I'm looking down the inside a little bit here, going to go down the inside, and we're just going to brake a little bit earlier right here than normal. So we brake a little bit earlier, and I'm just going to try and take a nice tight line, because again, I could see he was going to come in on me. So we just take the tightest line possible, and that guy would have crashed into us if we had taken a slightly wider line and a more normalised line for racing. This guy is giving no room whatsoever, and not racing effectively. They're just blocking and not braking. They're not really going for racing moves. They're more so going for moves that will end up causing a wreck. So I really want to try and force this guy into a bit of a mistake to get past them, because I don't trust actually trying to race past them. I don't trust, going wheel to wheel with them. As you saw, instead of taking that slightly wider line into turn 1, they took the narrowest line possible, and we were so close to touching them. If I hadn't lifted, we would have had a big accident. And that's the thing you find in the lower series in iRacing. People are more interested in wrecking you than they are to actually have a good race often. I did have a really good race before this one, where the person behind me, they did a dive bomb, but I could see it was going to come, and we just, I didn't push too hard to sort of defend in a way that would cause an accident. Right here again, just braking a little bit early, just to get that run, but not trying to make the move on the number 5, because again, I don't want to have an accident. I don't want to get taken out here. I want to finish this race. Even if it is P8, I want to be able to finish. So right now, the number 5 is right, well, not right on the back, but getting close to the car in front of them, the number 16 there. And they've got quite a fair gap between themselves and that car. And they go for it. And there it is. Oh, iRacing. Just... Bellissimo. Bravo. Well done, number 5. You proved me correct. So that's P6, right? Ladies and gentlemen. But that's something I knew was coming from when I saw that number 5 in the initial stages. They just didn't brake properly. They didn't know how to brake and make an actual, well, I say dive
I was fighting for
make an actual
there, or for third.
Overtake with out-braking somebody. They literally just...
And I get a lapper.
They drove it like Gran Turismo, like a Simcade racer. You know, they weren't racing it. They were racing it in the style of, oh yeah, a little bit of contact's fine. You know, contact's fine. Contact's okay. It's not like that's going to ruin your race in a Skippy. These cars are not built for contact. If you want to have contact in racing, go GT, go touring cars, go stock car, because that's the kind of car where you can have contact, and door-to-door contact is absolutely fine. I would prefer not to have it in an official race, but if you are going to make door-to-door contact and try and actually do stupid moves like that, then do it in a touring car, do it in a GT car, because at least then that car will survive. It won't just get completely destroyed and annihilated by your stupid move, because that 16 is absolutely out of the race. That guy did nothing wrong, just braking in pretty much the normal spot, and that number 5 again was just absolutely braking at a stupid point and not trying to even make a move. You know, could have turned down the inside nice and easily there, but would have lost it on the run out of the corner, obviously. And the number 5 decided, no, I'm just going to do it, just going to keep going straight ahead, and wreck happens. So, you know, that's the thing, as I said, with iRacing officials, is you have to race. It's almost like
car number 17,
you're racing,
is a protest.
You're racing yourself effectively, but you have to just keep an eye out for all the individuals around you, because chances are they're going to be the ones that are going to try and take you out and murder you. And boy, oh boy, will you get murdered. Because it is just so common in officials that people just don't think about these moves. They don't think about an attack like that. They go full Bottas and Stroll into that first corner and brake way too late, and then end up locking their brakes, if anything, and then a huge crash occurs. I'm surprised it didn't happen on the first lap, in all honesty. I was kind of expecting it to happen then, but it's just one of those things you have to learn to deal with, I guess, is to finish first you must finish. You know, the ever old saying goes, but you do really have to look at that, and you do have to really have to keep an eye out on people around you more than yourself. It's as stupid as it sounds, it's more so racing yourself than other people, because if you race other people, you're just going to end up in a big wreck and end up out of the race. So you've just got to try your best not to get taken out, try your best not to get murdered, because it's very easy to get absolutely demolished in a race like this and just absolutely have your race ended and ruined because of one stupid mistake from an individual that just isn't keen on actually racing. They're more keen on trying to, you know, do the last of the late breakers thing, which never works, you know, unless you've got somebody that's actually willing to give up a position. And that's why I won't really overly defend in official races. I tend not to defend that hard because there's not much point. If you end up racing too hard, you're just going to end up getting millions of well, first of all, you're going to probably end up disqualified. Second of all, you're just going to end up out of the race. So there's almost no point to it, which is a real shame because it does take away some of the fun. And as I said, that's why I don't particularly like the way it works. That's why I don't particularly like the way iRacing works with its safety rating and things like that. Unfortunately, it's all automated, so there's not much you can do in that respect, but oh well, so be it. So anyway, the race goes on. We're sitting in P6 at the moment, and we've got a bit of a gap. I think it's about 20-second gap to the guys in front. It was 30 seconds, and it's come down steadily, so we have been gaining on the leaders, which is a really, really good sign. You know, it's always a good sign when you're gaining on the people in front of you. And yeah, I'm in split 4, so you know, it's not like I'm racing. You know, I'm not racing the fastest of drivers, but they're drivers around my capability, and that's the thing is, you know, I'm still very much a good 3-4 seconds off the fast guy's pace, but driving with a bit of damage, driving with that wing damage, driving as I am, I'm pretty happy with this. You know, I've sort of gotten used to how the car's acting now, with that little bit less rear downforce, with that little bit, it's a little bit squiggly, especially as you're going through the right-handers. The car gets really, really loose, so it just does not want to turn, and that you can sort of feel that damage to the car. And I thought it was a front wing. First of all, I thought my front wing had got damaged, and obviously you can't really see the damage in the car. If you look at the bottom right hand corner, that's all I can see when I'm racing. That's effectively what I'm looking at when I'm racing, so I can't glance behind me and look at the wing. I can see the end plates in my mirror, and you can kind of see that on that left hand side, that end plate is a little bit bent. But other than that, you can't really see damage. So you have to either rely on other people to let you know what the damage is, or you know, pit in and actually get it fixed up. But there's not much point in pitting in this sort of race like this. You're better off just racing for it, and that's what we're doing. So that's the main thing. But as I said, speed-wise, really good speed, and especially when the tyres came in. Once the tyres warmed up, the car just felt absolutely perfect and was just flying. Just really able to drop those lap times down, get into the 204s a lot easier. Of course, the car's much lighter as well, which helps us out a lot. Less fuel on board helps an awful lot, of course, because, you know, heavy car means it's a bit harder to turn the corners with and things like that. So we're getting a good result out of this one. We're getting good times, we're getting good speed, we're getting good everything at the moment. And just keeping it going now, and that's the tricky thing. So the white flag is out, so we're on our last lap. So 1 lap to go. And definitely not catching up to the guys in front of us, unfortunately. As I said, they were about a good 15 seconds up the road. I'm pretty sure it was about 15 seconds up the road from us now. Which, you know, not terrible. The guy, I think I finished about 10 seconds behind P5. Considering I was at the back of the pack and probably about 40 odd seconds off them, I made up a decent amount of time, so I'm pretty happy with that result. Obviously, I would prefer a podium. It's, you know, that's the thing. I've had 2 podiums in the last couple of weeks, and technically I've had another podium this week as well. So, in my pre-race, my pre-Saturday night, or Sunday night light race, I did manage to get that podium, so that's good for my regular Skippy season. But I'm sort of now entered in Sunday Night Lights, so I want to do well in that. I want to try and get a podium in it at least. And obviously my main goal is to get up to the 3rd split now. That's the thing I'm working on as well, is trying to get up into the higher splits, which is going okay. My I rating is increasing. got some I rating increase with this race as well, which was really good. Some really good news in that respect. And you know, that's one of the big things I'm working on at the moment. It's just that I rating and consistency, and it's been going incredibly well. It's something I'm really proud of myself with. And yeah, all in all, a really good race. So I get across the line, and you know, there was some okay racing in this one. It was mainly just, unfortunately, that that idiot in the number 5. To be as kind as possible, that's about the best I can say. You know, they did really cost us a decent finishing position. So let's just go back and have a little bit of a look at that incident. Okay, so let's have a bit of a look at this. So obviously I go wide. I do get a slow down penalty. That's one of the other things here. But I'm waiting till I get to the corner before I use that. And as I say, the 5 just comes storming in there and goes into the back of us. Now let's watch that again from the view of the number 5. So if you're watching from this position, you can sort of see what happens here. The 5 tries to go around the outside of the 7 first of all, just keeps planted. And then just keeps planted here. Can see me rejoining the track, does not even attempt to move. It's not like they had room. They could have easily put the brakes on, but decided, nope, we're just going to go for it, and just absolutely crash. So if you can look from the rear, they've got a car on the outside, but they have got plenty of room and just go straight into us. So yeah, definitely not happy about this. And then this is that final incident. So just from the 5 perspective, watch this braking. Just absolutely nothing. What a absolute complete plonker. And this is from the back of the 16, who was just an innocent passenger in this. Oh, out they go. So strength of field was 925. So as you can see, not a terrible, you know, not a huge super high number. We managed to make 23 on our I rating, which is decent. We lost 0.004 on safety rating, which is not good, and we ended up P6. So lost a few positions from our starting spot, but we ended up in P6, which is at least something. Number 5 finished down in P number 9. Really not confident about that guy. I did not enjoy racing them. But other than that, it was a really fun race. And again, I had an absolute blast. So a big shout out to Alex McCullough and the Sunday Night Lights crew and Top Split TV for getting me into this, because I've just been having an absolute blast. You can join as well. Just look at Sunday Night Lights and look up the times, and you can race with us, race with the officials then at that time zone. Alright guys, I'm going to head off, so I hope you've enjoyed this one. I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for watching. Until then, this is me, Carl Skrizela, wishing you a lovely day. Bye bye.